He fought in over 100 battles. Against empires, against elite armies, and against impossible odds. He never lost. Not once. And here's the twist. Before becoming one of the greatest generals in history, Khalid ibn al-Walid was the enemy. So how did a man who once tried to destroy Islam become its most unstoppable sword? How did his battlefield strategies defeat the superpowers of his time, the Byzantines and the Persians? And why do military academies still study his tactics today? This is the story of a warrior who mastered war itself. History remembers kings, emperors, and conquerors. But very few men earn a title that outlives centuries. Khalid ibn al-Walid was called Saifullah, the sword of God, not by poets, not by historians, but by the Prophet Muhammad himself. Khalid didn't rule an empire. He didn't wear a crown. Yet his decisions on the battlefield reshaped history. To understand how he became legendary, we have to start with the moment he almost changed history forever. Khalid ibn al-Walid was born into the Banu Makhzum, Mecca's most powerful warrior clan. This was not a family of merchants. It was a family of generals from childhood. Khalid trained for combat, horsemanship, swordsmanship, and tactics. War was his language. And when Islam began to spread in Arabia, Khalid didn't see a religion. He saw a threat. So when the Quraysh prepared to face the Muslims at the Battle of Uhud, they placed their cavalry under one man, Khalid. What happened next changed warfare. At Uhud, the Muslims were winning. The enemy was retreating. Victory seemed guaranteed. Then Khalid noticed something everyone else missed. The Muslim archers had abandoned their position. In seconds, Khalid made a decision. He circled the battlefield, struck from behind, collapsed the entire formation. The battle turned instantly. Muslims were defeated. It was one of the most brilliant cavalry maneuvers of the era, and it proved something dangerous. Khalid ibn al-Walid wasn't just brave. He was a strategic genius, but that victory haunted him. Because despite his success, Islam kept growing. And Khalid began to realize something unsettling. Islam survived everything thrown at it. Persecution, battles, blockades, and Khalid started asking a forbidden question. What if this movement is unstoppable? In 627 CE, Khalid made a decision that shocked Arabia. He embraced Islam. Many expected suspicion, revenge, punishment. Instead, the Prophet Muhammad welcomed him and gave him a role that would define history. Commander. From that moment on, Khalid never fought against Islam again. He fought for it. And the world was about to see what he was truly capable of. In 629 CE, Muslim forces faced the Byzantine Empire at the Battle of Mu'tah. The odds were terrifying. 3,000 Muslims against 100,000 plus Byzantine and allied troops. Commanders fell one by one. The army was close to annihilation. Then Khalid took control. He reorganized the army overnight and changed formations repeatedly, used dust, noise, and movement to confuse the enemy. At dawn, the Byzantines believed reinforcements had arrived. They hesitated. That hesitation saved the Muslim army. Khalid executed a flawless withdrawal, turning near destruction into survival. After the battle, the Prophet gave him a new title, Saifullah al-Maslul, the drawn sword of God, but that was only the beginning. Khalid didn't fight like others. He ignored tradition, rejected predictability, and weaponized speed. His core principles were simple. Strike where least expected. Move faster than the enemy can react, never fight fair. He used false retreats, night marches, sudden flanking attacks. Enemies never knew where he'd strike next. And nowhere was this clearer than in the Arabian campaigns. Tribes rose against the new Muslim state. False prophets claimed power. Rebellion spread. Khalid crushed them all, but then came his greatest test. 2 empires, 2 fronts, and 1 general. The Muslim state now faced the Persian Empire and the Byzantine Empire. 2 superpowers, 2 advanced armies. Most commanders would choose one front. Khalid chose both. In one of the boldest maneuvers in military history, Khalid marched his army across a waterless desert, a route considered impossible. No roads, no supply lines, no mistakes allowed. His army emerged behind Byzantine lines. The enemy was stunned. What followed was a series of devastating victories. Speed replaced size. Intelligence replaced numbers. Empires that ruled for centuries began to collapse. But that's not the craziest part. In 636 CE, at the Battle of Yarmouk, Khalid faced the full might of Byzantium. Over 200,000 soldiers, heavy armor, experienced generals. The Muslims were outnumbered several times over. Khalid took command. He divided his cavalry into mobile strike units, held them in reserve, waited. When the Byzantines attacked, Khalid countered instantly, hitting flanks, breaking momentum, collapsing morale. He turned the battlefield into chaos. By the end, the Byzantine army was destroyed. Syria fell. Byzantine control shattered. Military historians still study Yarmouk as a masterclass in maneuver warfare. Yet, after all this, Khalid's story took an unexpected turn. At the height of his success, Khalid was removed as commander. No rebellion, no protest. He accepted it silently. Why? Because Khalid never fought for power. He fought for purpose. He continued serving as a soldier, fighting on the front lines, leading by example. Despite dozens of battles, his body was covered in scars, but he never died in combat. On his deathbed, Khalid wept, not from fear, from disappointment. He said, "I have fought in so many battles, yet I die on my bed like a camel." A warrior who never lost, never fell in battle. Khalid ibn al-Walid didn't become great because he was fearless. He became great because he understood war. Speed over strength, intelligence over tradition, adaptation over arrogance. He proved that battles aren't won by numbers, but by decisions made in seconds. And maybe that's why his legacy still echoes today. Because in every era, the greatest warriors aren't the strongest. They're the ones who think faster than everyone else. And Khalid ibn al-Walid was always 3 moves ahead.